Thanks for joining us today. This is Dr. Tommy Show live in Wesley Chapel, Florida. From Wesley Chapel's most listened to concierge medicine morning show. That is the Ask Dr. Tommy Show. That's Dr. Tommy Show. Ask Dr. Tommy Show's podcast. This is the live show. And we thank you for joining us today. We are pleased to introduce to you, if you haven't heard already, the preeminent medical software for membership medicine that's called Atlas MD. We are proud to use Atlas MD, and we're proud to proud to have them as a sponsor. Atlas MD, if you're not familiar with it, is the one source solution for your membership medicine needs. Meaning, it covers EMR, it covers billing, it covers communication, and a whole lot of other things. So, if you want to learn more about it, go to AskDrTommy.com and click on special offer for Atlas MD. And today, as always, or as usual, I am here with my wife and Vice President here, Tracy McElroy.
Hello.
And today we had some bad news coming into the office today. There was a shooting in Virginia. If you're not familiar, in Alexandria, Virginia, there was a shooting of some congressmen who were assembled for a charity baseball game, apparently a softball game or baseball game that they have yearly. And a shooter identified as 66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson of Illinois.
Oh, I didn't even know that they announced the shooter.
Was the shooter and attempted killer, apparently. And this is something that's breaking. And unfortunately, this is something that has already been politicized by the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, who has called this a reason to enact gun control, and we'll cover that a little bit later. And I don't want to cover this too much. I even don't want to cover it that much at all, because it is a politically hot topic, gun control, that is. And I didn't want to delve too far into it, but I do think it's important to expose the people who are using politics, from whatever your vantage point, for violence and to enact violence. And I think recently we've seen some of this with Kathy Griffin and the decapitation photo that she had, and then the subsequent press conference. And I think it's really inappropriate for people to use this as a reason to achieve their political goals, when we don't even know if we've received word that Steve Scalise is apparently safe, but before the blood's even dried, literally, we already have this. And this is a little bit earlier today. I was watching this press conference, and this is the governor.
General, do you think anything more needs to do to protect politicians?
Well, let me say this. I think we need to do more to protect all of our citizens. I have long advocated, this is not what today is about, but there are too many guns on the street. We lose 93 million Americans a day to gun violence. I mean, I've long talked about this. Background checks, shutting down gun show loopholes. That's not for today's discussion, but it's not just about politicians.
Governor,
we worry about this every day for all of our citizens.
Now, absent the fact that he misspoke apparently and said 93 million Americans are killed each day, the fact is that
that's a pretty high number, isn't it?
he has no idea whether this gentleman passed a background check, whether he purchased a gun at the so-called gun show loophole, or any of that. Nevertheless, he was able to go on and use this time to advocate for his political position, which is apparently more gun control. And speaking as a licensed concealed permit holder, I would like to counter this by saying that the John Lott, who is a noted researcher in gun rights or gun laws, has noted that the percentage of people who have concealed carry permits that commit crimes is less than those of police officers. And that's not to say that police officers commit a lot of crime. That's to say that even the police officers, there is less percentage than the people who are concealed carry permit holders. I'm a little disgusted by that whenever I hear that, trying to cast aspersions upon law-abiding citizens who are freely just trying to exercise their rights. And you have the right to not bear arms.
That's right.
If you choose not to, and I have no problem with that. And I think it's disgusting when people like Governor here use this type of rhetoric to. And the truth is, this was apparently a politically motivated attack. The person who did the alleged shooting, is this gentleman here.
Oh.
And
Former owner. I cannot even see, and that's terrible.
So
Even
he's
my
a
bifocal
former building inspector. He's apparently unemployed. Was living in Illinois and moved, and that is not a picture of him. That's his Facebook page. That's Bernie Sanders. But he is an unemployed gentleman who moved apparently to Alexandria recently, and for some reason decided to try to kill congressman today. And if you look through his Facebook page, I'm not going to, you can see that he has various rants against certain political parties, and apparently chose to exercise his hatred for the other opposing viewpoint by enacting violence, which is never endorsed by civil society, whether you're enacting violence from the left or right, whether it's bombing abortion clinics or whether it's shooting congressmen who are trying to practice for a softball game. And so I just wanted to cover that as current event.
I haven't been able to.
Current events. It's not about politics necessarily, but it's about current events.
I have not been able to watch like you have this morning. But what happened to this 66-year-old gentleman?
He was
Hodgkin's
apparently
son?
he was shot by the Capitol Police and was apprehended, and apparently is not. He's still alive.
Okay.
And so he's in custody.
So no one died.
As far as we know, no one has deceased. Scalise was shot in the hip. There was a staffer who was shot in the calf. There was I'm not sure how many people were shot. I think there was 5 people shot, including the shooter here, the alleged shooter. And so that's what's going on now. And apparently the only reason there was any guns there at Alexandria, Virginia, that meaning guns that were not used by the shooter, was because Steve Scalise is a majority whip. And as such, he is entitled to a security detail, which apparently was the Capitol Police. Okay. But this shooter was able to get off, reports are 50 to 100 rounds before he was...
Right, so he had some form of shotgun or rifle.
He had a rifle. Apparently, he had a rifle and a handgun as well.
So this person that he spoke and said, what political party is this?
Yes.
So where did the guy have this shotgun on him?
I don't know. So apparently, before the shooting took place, it's unconfirmed who the individual was, but a congressman was approached as he was exiting the facility, going into the parking lot by. Which may be this gentleman, we don't know, but he was approached by a person and asked who is practicing, Republicans or Democrats. Right. And that's, again, not surprising now that we have the details about who the shooter is. Another thing that's interesting is if you watch the press conference after this, and this is more of a commentary on the current media and citizen journalism, after this, I watched the press conference, which you saw a portion of it with Governor McAuliffe. And there was the FBI there and the Capitol Police, and they had very little details. And it was I saw it first, I think, on ABC. ABC, I was watching the live stream of a gentleman on the radio, ABC radio, and he was the one that said that it was this James Hodgkinson. And I quickly... and that's the thing about citizen journalism. So as soon as I found that, I went on Facebook and I Googled his name, and he's got 2 Facebook pages, both of them similarly unhinged. And he is, so apparently the shooter, alleged shooter, and it is not Bernie Sanders, like I said in that picture that was shown. That was his, unfortunately for Mr. Sanders, that was the picture he chose to associate with himself before he undertook this violence. And anyway, hopefully everything is going to turn out okay, despite the fact that they were shot. Apparently everyone is going to survive this. So that's current events and a little bit of commentary from me. And also, speaking of shooting, one of the shows that we're watching is called Fargo. And if you haven't seen Fargo, Fargo is a multi-season show now. It's called an anthology because it has a disconnected storyline, and it is loosely associated with the movie Fargo. And tell us.
Well, I haven't seen the movie.
Tell us about what your impression is of Fargo so far as a series as we close in on the final episodes.
I love Fargo. The first season I thought was awesome. That's my favorite. Second season was great, and the third season is good.
We have two episodes left.
It's good. It's a little quirky. Yeah. It's different. Season 3 is very different from the first 2 seasons.
So tell them about what season 1 was about.
Season 1 is about this weasel named Lester.
Lester Nygaard.
He causes a lot of pain and heartache to a lot of people, including his wife.
He's a weasel.
He is a weasel. And he gets what he deserves in the end, in my opinion.
Yes, he does. And it also stars, we covered
Billy
this a little
Bob
earlier,
Thornton.
but Billy Bob Thornton
Yes.
is the
So it's raunchy.
antagonist.
It is definitely not kid friendly.
It's not kid friendly. It is on FX and it's on demand on FX if you want to watch it there. Or is it? I'm not sure if it's on demand on FX, but you can buy it on Blu-ray. I think it may be on Netflix as well. I'm not sure though. But Fargo season 1, so that covered the events in Bemidji, which is in Minnesota, and it was about a insurance salesman named Lester Nygaard and his encounters with a gentleman by the name of
Billy Bob. What is his
Billy
name?
Bob's name was we'll have to look it up. But anyway, Billy Bob Thornton, and his character basically helps Lester find his inner man, so to speak, and in the meantime he becomes quite
He changes for sure
trouble.
from the very first episode
yes.
to the
Lorne Malvo is Billy Bob Thornton's character's name. So Lorne
Yes.
Malvo helps Lester become more of a, let's say, someone who emphasizes his ideas more and stands up for himself. And then, and in the
he becomes a true man.
he becomes a true man, so to speak, and in doing so becomes his undoing. And it has a lot of violence and a lot of humor, and it stars Colin Hanks as a police officer, and also
Yeah, I like Colin Hanks.
Martin Freeman is Lester Nygaard, and then Allison Tolman is Molly Solverson. So that's Molly Solverson. So she's in season 2 as well, which is a flashback
Yes.
to 1979. So season 1 took place in 2007. Season 2 takes place in 1979. And tell us what happens
And
there.
little Molly's 4 years old.
So little Molly's 4,
And her father is a police officer. Well, he's a chief maybe or sergeant. I don't know.
he's
But anyway.
a state trooper.
Right.
And he's also in season 1 as an owner of a diner. And he has a conversation with Lorne Malvo where he tells him about something that happened in Sioux Falls before.
Right. And so then basically season 2 kind of backtracks to what happened in season 1. So, and I know that's your favorite, season 2. So you go ahead and talk a little bit about it.
So season 2 is basically the story of Lou Solverson, and as he is a young state trooper with a young daughter named Molly and a wife, and he comes upon this inner gang squabble between a division of the mafia in Kansas City and these a trucking concern that was based in, it wasn't based in Fargo, it was based in North Dakota, I
It
believe.
is, yeah, I think it is in North Dakota, but
So this
it's
local
not. It's
trucking outfit,
definitely not Fargo though.
they aren't clear what they're doing, but they're involved in some type of illegal activity, and the Kansas City group wants to move in and acquire them. And it's a very business-like affair. They're talking about acquiring this division, and if they can't acquire them, then they have to eliminate them. But it's very technical. And in the meantime, the local butcher and his wife become involved when she inadvertently kills one of the gang members.
And she is a crazy
She is
mess.
very manipulative, and that's how it is. So there's 3 parties involved, 4 parties really. The 2 gangs, the butcher and his wife, and then the law enforcement as headed up by Lou Solverson and Lou Solverson's father-in-law, who is played by Ted Danson. And that season is, like I said, 1979. And then the most recent season is now.
2010, right?
Right, but it's going on right now.
Yes, but it's based in
2010.
2010, and it's now. I mean, it's very different, obviously, from season 1 and season 2.
And it's not connected.
But there's
again.
little quotes and things that you remember because you remember everything
Oh, yes.
from the other seasons.
Well, the beginning of season 3 is a brother, and he is trying to pay off a $1 million loan that he got fairly easily from this mysterious financier who was not a bank, and they are unable to call this number and pay it off. All they get is a series of buzzes and clicks. And before long, the gentleman who's on the receiving end of the buzzes and clicks shows up, and he doesn't want to be repaid,
No, he doesn't.
but he does
He
want
wants
something.
he does. He wants to become.
A
He wants a
partner.
partner. He wants a partnership.
And
And he happens to have this medical condition.
he's a bulimic.
So he eats a massive amount of food and then vomits, and
And
his
you'll notice
teeth
at the
are rotting
beginning, his
out.
teeth are very
Yeah, so
destroyed by acid,
right,
apparently.
and you're wondering, like, why are his teeth like that?
So it's
And then-
interesting that they throw that in there. It's completely Not mentioned at all. Just they show him.
Yes, no one talks about it. He never mentions he has a problem.
Nothing.
He eats a lot when he eats.
And the other part of this is, so there's Ewan McGregor plays two brothers. They don't look nothing alike. They look nothing alike. And they are on separate sides of a squabble having to do with a stamp. And apparently the stamp is viewed by the younger brother as the reason the older brother became rich. Mm-hmm. And he has a lot of animosity about that. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, this gentleman with bulimia comes in and tries to take over the business. And it's very strange, and also has a weird subplot of the alien. Yes. So a gentleman gets her stepfather.
That was in 2 also.
Yeah, her stepfather is murdered, and it's found out his stepfather has the police officer. I'm sorry, I'm skipping all around. The police officer's stepfather in the movie is murdered, and he has a history as a writer, and he wrote wrote books about aliens. And then season 2 has alien presence.
I'm wondering for season 3, are we going to learn more about her stepfather?
I don't know. There's only 2 episodes left. It was a strange side bit.
It was a strange side bit. And why would he have his books hidden like he did?
Yes, hidden in the floorboards.
And why did he not share with anyone? Well, wait a second. I guess maybe I know. He kind of sort of was on the run, right?
Yes, he was on the run because he murdered a producer.
Right.
And changed his name to Stussy.
So I guess really that's why he, hid his life and hid his books. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I like season 3. It's very different. It's like I said,
so
it's
if you're looking
quirky.
for something good to watch, Fargo's recommended. Fargo season 1, 2, and 3. You can obtain season 1 and 2 on Blu-ray or maybe some streaming outfit. And season 3 is currently playing on FX. You can download those. I believe you can buy those as well from probably Amazon, but you could also stream them if you have that available through your cable provider, or wait till the Blu-ray comes out, but it may be a long time. And Better Call Saul is winding up, and we have skipped the last 2 episodes because our friend Bill Cosart told us that one episode was not very good.
That's kind of how I felt about
and you
the
felt
whole
that way
last 3 years.
And I thought, well, better just save all 3 so we can watch them all at once and not be disappointed. We'll just finish it off. And I have a feeling this will be the end of Better Call Saul because their ratings are not doing well. And the storyline is just boring for the most part when it has to do with the lawyers. And I have a feeling that the people who run Better Call Saul are emotionally invested in this lawyer story, and the majority of viewers are not.
Well, the thing is too, so we started watching Fargo. It's a bad
story. It's just, who cares?
Well,
I don't care.
It's very drab, but we started watching Fargo, and the very first episode, there was so much action. Yeah. There was so much going on. And then I think back to Better Call Saul, and then we've been dedicated to Better Call Saul for 3 years.
Well, if you look at Breaking Bad too, which is the parent series of Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad had so much packed into an episode. And just, I think that the writing in Better Call Saul and the overall storyline just is not as dramatic, and it's not. No, I know there's a lot of fans out there who like it because of that, but I believe that they really missed their opportunity to make a very action-packed and legal-based thing. But they're using, I believe they're going too far with the legal They should have used that as a jumping-off point. Maybe even ditched it after season 1.
Right. And my goodness, I don't care about the brother anymore.
Yeah, I don't care about the inner squabbles between
I don't care that he's mentally ill.
No.
I will tell you this.
Or even Kim Wexler for
Kim's boring.
I don't care about Kim's whether she's going to become a lawyer or not. I don't care
about anything about Kim. I will say this: if there's a season 4, I'm not going to dedicate my time to season 4. This will be it.
I don't think
I'm going to finish out 3.
And I saw an interview with, I think it was Peter Gould, who was the co-producer of Better Call Saul and also the inventor of the Saul Goodman character, which was in Breaking Bad, that this series is based off of. And he said, well, even if we don't get a season 4, we're hopeful we will, but we're thankful for Sony and AMC that we had 3 seasons. It almost feels like they didn't really, they weren't that hungry. And there is a problem once you've achieved greatness to go back and try to do it again. And you can see that with artists. You can see that with athletic teams. It's hard to repeat as a champion. And so there was a problem in the basketball in the late 80s and 90s with the Lakers. They were the first ones, I believe it was the Lakers. I can't remember. I watched basketball in so long, but there was a problem with being able to repeat. And it wasn't, I think it was the Pistons maybe couldn't do it. But anyway, it wasn't until the Bulls made it a common thing that people repeated as champions. But it's hard to climb the summit twice. And when you've done something like Breaking Bad, then it's hard to go back and make Better Call Saul, be hungry to make Better Call Saul great. And you can see the same thing in music. You know, one hit wonders. That's the, you know, they have a hit and that's it. Now there are some, you know, like if you look at music, there's like Pink Floyd had Dark Side of the Moon, which is probably their highest point, but then they had other peaks, so they weren't as high probably as Wish You Were Here and The Wall. You look at AC/DC, their highest point from an album sales standpoint was Back in Black, but the follow-up, which was they acknowledged was going to be hard, was For Those About to Rock. We Salute You was a strong showing. But again, back to the point, Better Call Saul is not a terrible show, but it certainly is not up to par.
I think it's boring. I can't even believe I've dedicated this 3 years to it.
It had opportunity to be great, and unfortunately, I think they missed their opportunity.
I'm disappointed, definitely.
And so coming up now, you have some gardening.
Oh yeah, we've been doing
tips.
some gardening. Yesterday, I worked in the garden. Well, I planted. So we've had a little bit of bad luck with our garden.
Yeah.
We did not have our tomatoes did not come up, our onions did not come up, and our squash was puny.
Yeah.
So I dug up the squash because they grew like 2 inches and stopped, and maybe a little bit more. But anyway, I replanted, dug them all up, and then planted black eyes and some more okra. So
the next time we'll be able to do some gardening, new gardening will be in September, I think.
Yeah, probably.
When we'll be able to plant some of the more weather-friendly stuff, such as let's say black-eyed peas. We can plant now because it's hot enough, but we'll be able to plant. Then we'll be able to plant like corn.
Right. I really want to do colored greens.
Squash. Try to do squash.
Yeah. So even with all the rain, it's still just too hot for the other vegetables. But it was kind of sad that they didn't come up.
It is sad, but it is an opportunity to dig them up and put down green manure, they call it, which is southern peas. And if you grow southern peas and you pick the southern peas, don't throw away the plants, just till them underground, and that's what they call green manure. And the southern peas by themselves, when they grow, they enrich your soil with nitrogen through nitrogen-fixing bacteria. So that's another benefit of growing southern peas and other types of green manure in the off season.
I've never heard anyone refer to it as
green manure.
Green manure.
I learned that from IFAS, Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, which is my alma mater, University of Florida College of Agriculture, and their publication. They talk about green manure.
Okay.
And this week, our song of the week is going to be the Traveling Wilburys, and that song is also on our webpage if you've seen it.
Good song. We're introducing Kaylee to the Traveling Wilburys, and she loves them.
All right, bye, guys.
Well, it's all right. Riding around in the breeze. Well, it's all right. If you live the life you please. Well, it's all right. Doing the best you can. Well, it's all right. As long as you lend a hand. You can sit around and wait for the phone to ring. Waiting for someone to tell you everything. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring. Maybe a diamond ring. Well, it's alright. Even if they say you're wrong. Well, it's alright. Sometimes you gotta be strong. Well, it's alright. As long as you got somewhere to lay. Well, it's alright. Every day is Judgment Day. Maybe somewhere down the road away. At the end of the line. You'll think of me and wonder where I am these days. At the end of the line. Maybe somewhere down the road when somebody plays. At the end of the line. Purple haze. Well, it's alright. Even when push comes to shove, well, it's alright. If you got someone to love, well, it's alright. Everything will work out fine, well, it's alright. We're going to the end of the line. that. And it don't matter if you're by my side, I'm satisfied.